Sammy, welcome to Talk of the Town. Thanks so much for joining me today.
What's happening, man? I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, let's talk about this new album, Heart in Texas.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to start with the cover art because it's so detailed and so sick. Talk to me about the process, because I know there's a lot of meetings, I'm sure, about how you come up with everything.
Absolutely. I've always loved puzzles and art when it comes together, right? When you have like 5 different pieces or 6 different pieces where like you can kind of marry them together and it like equals like one big piece. I guess it comes from like my love for like Pokemon and like Dragon Ball Z and all that stuff, where they kind of do a similar thing where like, you know, they'll have different creatures like they have like their different illustrations, but little do people know is that sometimes you can like put the cards side by side and it creates like one big piece of art.
Oh yeah,
and
no,
so,
that's
yeah,
sick. I love that.
It's pretty awesome. And my community, they love art and they love collecting things, and so do I. And so I thought it'd be a really cool way to, you know, roll out the album by giving every song its own personality and its own design, if you will. And at the end of the day, like with the album, I really wanted kind of all the singles that we've released this year to kind of marry each other almost through the art. And that's what the album cover is. Yeah, it's a marriage of all of them.
I love that. And tell me about what you're trying to say with this album. I feel like you have a very wide mix of content in there. Can you tell me kind of what you're trying to say with this new album?
Man, there's so much to say. I mean, I've been in Nashville now for a good 15 years. I think we're coming up on 15 years now. Moved all the way from South Florida. Just to kind of, you know, tell you a little bit about myself, I'm the first in the family to be born in the United States. My whole family's from Cuba. And thankfully I spoke Spanish my whole life, at home, at school with my friends. And it kind of became what I am today as a country artist, the country Latino fusion, right? Blending both of my worlds. And so that's exactly what the mission behind this album is to blend both of my worlds and also kind of illustrate what my journey has been in Nashville and in Texas since moving here to town to pursue my dreams in country music and to represent Latinos in the genre.
Yeah, let's talk about that. There is part of this album that's in Spanish, and you've mentioned it before in videos, like no matter where you're hitting, you could shuffle and go into a full Spanish song. And I'm curious because the songs are both, there's a song in English and a song in Spanish for a lot of them. So talk to me about why you wanted to do that, because I think that's a cool way for also people to learn a little bit about Spanish.
Man, I love that you brought that up because, you know, one thing that growing up, a little hurdle I had to overcome was that I had a lot of family members that didn't necessarily speak English. So they could listen to my music, and of course they enjoyed it simply because, you know, I'm part of the
nice.
It sounds nice and I'm part of the family, but at the end of the day, a lot of them just had that language barrier and they couldn't understand anything what I'm saying, but it sounded pretty to them. But I've always wanted to, you know, equally cater to both worlds. And, you know, as somebody who is fluent in both, thankfully, growing up in school, they made sure I spoke it, and at home they always made sure that spoke it, sang it, wrote it, and I'm thankful for my parents for enforcing that my whole life. And so it's now become what I do for a living, you know, in music. And that's what the album is. I wanted to make sure that every song had a Spanish version so that way both communities can equally enjoy it as much. And most importantly, I wanted to make sure that every version was in the same body of work. So that way, one, they don't have to struggle with, you know, leaving the English album, trying to find the Spanish album, and, you know, saving them a bunch of time and work. And also, I do believe that the deeper meaning behind blending them all together is because I just want everybody to coexist and just unify and come together for one thing and one thing only, and that's the music. So.
Well, and being bilingual, I think, is such a superpower, because I remember I was doing a story once, and one of my colleagues was actively translating like a press conference where the woman was speaking Spanish, reporting in English, and it's insane to me, like how your brain works, because it seems so challenging. But I'm curious how that works in your brain, switching music between Spanish and English, because I feel like it's just like different sides, you know? It's just,
absolutely.
How does that work?
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, I got to tell you, like when I'm home in Miami, it's kind of hard to not think in Spanish because everybody down there is like 95% of the population down there is Hispanic. But when I'm home, I usually speak in Spanish, think in Spanish. But here in Nashville, I find myself thinking in English and writing in English.
That's so fascinating to me.
But I will tell you this, and you'll laugh. Whenever my parents get mad, that's when they shift gears, and that's when you know when they're angry and the chancla comes out. they're thinking and speaking in Spanish. So yeah, everything's got like its timing, like where you're at, what the purpose, you know what I'm saying, like what you're working on, I guess. But I'll tell you this though, this album was super fun to put together because a lot of the songs actually ended up translating pretty seamlessly, but some of them actually needed a complete rewrite.
I was going to ask about how difficult it was to do both, because it is a lot of
Yeah.
extra work to have them all in one project. So talk to me a little bit about navigating that.
It was really cool because some of the songs, like I said, they seamlessly translate. I do my best to, for me, melody is king. Like nothing falls out of that grid line. For me, like melody is number one. So if the words do not fall within the main melody, I won't even chase it. I won't even bother. Like there's even songs I've been told to cover online, and unfortunately I have to pass it. I have to be like, sorry guys, I can't do it because in Spanish, it just doesn't mean the same thing, or the word that it translates to doesn't fall within the syllable amount, right? So
that's so interesting. I don't think I don't think a lot of English speakers understand that or get that.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're always like, oh, you could just translate any song, but that's
exactly.
so interesting.
Yeah. So for example, I mean, one of the songs we translated over the last couple of years was Jelly Roll's "Save Me," and in English is "Somebody Save Me." And I don't exit that melody. It's da 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 da, and that's all I got to work with.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's what everybody knows. That's what's like attached to the heart. So you never want to leave that bracket, right? And so in Spanish, there's different ways of saying it. There's que alguien me salve, or sálvame alguien. So it feels familiar, right?
Yeah.
It feels like identical, and you're saying the same thing. So when I translated that one, I was like, oh, this is an easy one.
Yeah.
And so we cranked it out in like 30, 45 minutes, and we put it out, and it absolutely changed our lives. Even Jelly crossed his algorithm, I guess, and
That's so
he
cool.
commented and acknowledged it. He's been a huge supporter.
And
so.
I love that there is this really big moment for artists that are including Spanish into country music. I mean, I've seen you with Louis the Singer. And
Yeah,
I've
Louis
talked to other
family.
folks. Yeah, I think that's just a really cool moment that's happening, and I love that you're really putting this to the forefront of your music. And I do want to dive into the album, so I want to talk. I kind of take notes.
Yeah.
I kind of run them through with you. So, "Left My Heart in Texas," I think really set the tone. I think it really showed what you wanted to do with this album. And I'm curious why you wanted that as the title track and why you wanted that to be your start.
Man, I love this question so much. Over the last few years, I'll tell you this, I hadn't really toured much in Texas when I first moved to Nashville. I've always felt in my heart that I had so much to explore because Texas is such a big place. But I started noticing that a lot of our listeners and a lot of our supporters were from the Texas area. They were from Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, and when I would have like a show here or a show there in Texas, I would just notice like there'd be a lot more people there than normal, than usual. You know what I'm saying? And I'd be like, wait, what's going on here? Like this, Texas is showing up.
Yeah.
They love music, man. They love music down there, and I heavily resonate and connect with Freddie Fender, who is one of the first, if not the first popular country music artist of Latino descent to truly blaze that trail for artists like myself, as well as Johnny Rodriguez and a few others. And so they're both Texan. And so whenever I go down there, it just feels like I'm kind of working through them, right? I'm just kind of like continuing that trail that they blazed. And it feels that way whenever I get on stage. They're so welcoming. There's a lot of Hispanics in Texas as well, so they love that fusion that we're putting together, as well as the covers in Spanish when I put those on the internet. So yeah, Texas has been nothing but supportive and loving to me. And like I said before, I mean, I'd be lying if that song wasn't about a Texas girl who drove me wild one night. But yeah, I mean, ain't these songs always about a girl?
Yeah.
It's always about a girl.
Well, it moves like Mexico. I love the blend. It sounds very current country and Latino country, which I think is very cool. And I wrote down this line because I thought it was so clever. "She's got me in the fella sweating like a Modelo."
That's my favorite lyric.
And I love that lyric.
Dude.
No, I thought it was so
Out
good.
of
I was like,
all
you
the
ate it up.
lyrics you could have picked.
Yeah. Well, and I was like,
That's good.
And I wrote down how the long version of "Moves," like how you drag that note out.
Yeah.
Talk to me about kind of putting this song together. What were you thinking when you were putting it together? Because it's such a fun like dance song.
Absolutely, yeah.
Very summer kind of vibe.
Yeah, man, I've always wanted a party anthem like this one, man. It's we knew right from the start when we dove into the room. I actually wrote the song with Jared Neiman and Sarah Bryce, who is Lee Bryce's wife. And I brought this title into the room, and Jared is a goofball. I mean, he's one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. and Sarah's one of the best lyricists and just one of the coolest hangs in the world. They were all about it. I was feeling up and positive that day. I'm like, I need something that's gonna get people's hips shaking. You know, I am Latino. We gotta get the dancing vibes going. You know what I mean? And so I brought this title, and to be completely real with you, it came from a place of like I think I was out with some friends, and we were at like a Latin club or something like that, and there was like this super white girl that in a million years you'd see her in the middle of a dance club, and you wouldn't think she'd dance to Latin music very well, and she was dancing better than all the people there. Like I was like, yo, like this girl can get down. She's crushing the competition, and that's where the true meaning of that song comes from. It's about a couple that goes to Mexico. That, you know, she's from the South, he's from the South, and when they show up at the local cantina in Mexico, she just gets on the dance floor and out dances like all the locals, and they're all like looking at her like, whoa, I didn't know she had that in her.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's where that, you know, she's got moves like Mexico comes from. So
yeah, with Selena too, I was gonna say this about the other songs too. You're really great at painting a picture, and I think that's just a testament to just Nashville songwriting. You know, if I feel like so many folks can really paint a picture, and that's what really sells it for me for an album. With Selena, do you have a favorite Selena song?
yes, I
That's
do.
very hard, I know. It's like
Yeah, I
picking
mean,
kids for some people.
it's very, very tough. Oh my God. Let me see. Gosh, you're making it really hard on me.
I can give you mine. It's Como La Flor, but
That's
that's
a-
like
yeah.
I feel like it's very like Bitty Bitty Bum Bum. You know, like I like a lot of the main classic ones because I lived in Texas for a little
I
bit.
play Dreaming of You all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, when you live in Texas, you know, it just come like it's part of the culture there. So
Amor
it's very cool.
Prohibido might have to be the one.
Oh, okay.
Amor
Nice.
Prohibido.
Limes was a very big change in tone for me. I thought it was
Yeah.
very current country, perfect summer song, and I love just the earworm. I was literally singing it before the song finished.
Really?
Like I could pick up the.
Let's go.
Yeah, I loved
love
it.
that.
I think it was one of my favorites. What was that for you? Because earworms are kind of the lullaby for country music is very hard to.
Yeah.
The nursery rhyme, I should say, hard to master. So how do you kind of come up with these little catches? Because it's in a lot of your songs. So you can get a
Thanks,
good
man.
earworm.
Thank you. I'm happy you're catching all this, man. I love your ear, and I love how you're analyzing these tunes. I'm a big fan of melody. I mean, I come from, you know, being from South Florida, I come from a melting pot of all kinds of genres and styles. I mean, I wasn't necessarily raised purely on country music, but I always had an adoration, and I always knew that I was gonna somehow like do something in that realm, even when I was like surrounded by hip hop and rap and EDM, salsa.
That's crazy with
Yeah.
how you sound and how you perform that you weren't raised on country music.
Exactly, yeah. And so, I mean, I'm just heavily inspired by music in all shapes, ways, and forms. But I've always been a fan of just like sitting down with a guitar and telling a story, right? And so, as someone who's heavily inspired by like Kenny Chesney, Zach Brown Band, they're all artists and bands that do a really good job of painting a really cool picture. And I really wanted to do that with Limes. You know, you got songs like Don't Blink. You got songs like The Good Stuff, Kenny Chesney, early Kenny Chesney he did a really good job of painting pictures. And so that was the goal with this song. I'm like, you know what? Let's write a song about a guy who's been having a tough day, and the bartender pours him a margarita, and just tells him, hey, when life gives you lemons, trade them for limes and make yourself a cold drink.
Yeah.
Leave the blue up to the sky.
Yeah. I love the play on the phrase. I mean, because, you know, I feel like when you could be writing songs, I'm not a songwriter, but I feel like you could just be like, oh, this is something that everyone knows. But I think that turning the phrase is very fun, and it's very smart, which I think is cool. Born Again is a much gentler tone, which I love a big shift. I think that keeps you, but there was like a gentle kind of decline there, which I liked. And lyrically, it was so detailed. You say a lot in your songs. Like your lyrics are long and quick. So I'm getting like flashes of everything very quickly.
There you go.
Which I think is an interesting style that I don't hear a lot. Is that something that intentionally you try to do? Because
I think it comes.
I don't know how to describe it well.
No, that's a great way to put it. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm so heavily influenced by rap and hip hop, and I feel like it comes from that.
Yes.
You know, I feel like in rap and hip hop, the rapid fire lyric and the messages is so quick that you got to capture it, and you have to also be impactful and say something clever and witty in that fast phrasing. And so I feel like that's kind of lightly stemming from my love and adoration and inspiration from rap and hip hop.
That makes so much sense now that you say that, because I was like, yes, there is like the rap, because it is so fast. I love that. I said for She Can't Turn on the Radio, the guitar solo was so sick. there's a lot of really good instrumental moments that you highlight in your album, which I think just says a lot about you, because sometimes, it can just be about the singing, and
Yeah.
I think it's really cool when you give the instruments a moment to breathe.
Absolutely.
And I thought that was a really cool moment. And On Purpose, the nervous run was really solid, and the song really kept me guessing. And there was a lot of like little runs. And then was there a violin in there?
In On Purpose?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I
Janae
ate
Flanoy.
it up. No, it was great.
Janae, she's one of my best friends in the world. We go back. I mean, when I was doing gigs when I first moved to Nashville, she was, powering through those with me for 4 straight hours. And,
Which,
I want to give
brutal
her
length of time for
oh,
a set.
yeah. And I have to give her flowers. I mean, she's now with George Strait, rocking it out. And so
awesome.
very proud to have her on that record and several others on the project too. She was on Left My Heart in Texas as well.
Yeah. And Before the Teardrop Falls, I really love the opening. Was a very different sound, I thought, compared to the rest of the record. Was that something on purpose? Because I feel like this is like it's the split in your order before you switch to full Spanish, which I think was that intentional?
It was completely. I mean, first and foremost, the reason why we did that song is because we wanted to, highlight the great Freddie Fender. He made it popular back in 1975, and this year is actually marking the 50-year anniversary since he made that song a hit.
Oh, wow.
And so I thought, as somebody who's bearing that torch now in the class of 2025, if you will, I thought it was a perfect way to create a bridge between the English top half of the album and the back Spanish half of the album. And what better way than to honor the great Freddie Fender and do a song that's honestly changed my career in such a short amount of time already. I know it's a cover, but we did our own cool, unique rendition of it. And the internet seems to be really loving it. And in 2025, there is still tons of Freddie Fender fans, and that makes me so happy.
Well, and you even sound a little bit different. Like how you sing it sounds different. You have like a scratch in your voice. I don't know how else to word that. But no, I just thought it was great. And then I love the switch to, because I was able to, from my very little Spanish that I remember, I was like, oh, I could read it. I was like, I know what this is. Why did you want it to flow like this instead of like, let's say, English, Spanish, English, Spanish, English, Spanish? Why did you want it to flow top to bottom like that?
It's cool you say that because initially when I was putting together this project, we had different options to lay it out, right? We had the good old like side A, side B, where you keep it.
I'm sure there was many a meeting.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was like should we do the Left My Heart in Texas, Mi Corazón Está en Texas, and just do them back to back. But I thought, I just thought it was really cool to just keep that Freddie Fender down the center, because since the first half of Freddie is English and the second half of Freddie is Spanish, it just served as a perfect bridge to keep it that way. And the number one thing that brings me the most joy is like keeping them all on the same track listing. Yeah. So that way people they don't even have to back out of the project and try to find it elsewhere, the other half of the project, but it's all there, right? And there's a deeper meaning there of like, everybody's invited to the same place. And everybody's welcome, having access. And, I've been in situations where, purely English speakers will actually come up to me at shows and be like, dude, I'm listening to your Spanish versions more than I am your English versions because I love the way they make me feel. I love the way your voice kind of changes and the way that you express yourself in Spanish. I guess I express myself a little different. I can't tell, but according to them, they say that they feel something different. It's a supernatural thing that I can never explain. And that's the beauty of music, right? It's like they don't even understand what I'm saying, but it makes them feel something, feel a good thing. And that's really the only reason why I do what I do. So
that's awesome. Yeah. And to take a kind of step back from the album, you had your debut album back in 2021, is that right?
That's right.
What have you learned from like A to B? What's been the difference in the change that you've seen over the last 4 years?
That you can't do it alone. I'm just gonna leave it at that. You can't do it alone. I've learned to, as an artist, I've evolved in so many ways. I've also embraced more than ever my culture and my roots and where I'm from.
I have noticed that when I was like kind of doing it.
Yeah,
you can tell,
thanks, man.
Which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I'm super proud of that. I think it's due to like just the change of the landscape of things, right? The music industry has changed so much. The world has changed so much. We're so powered by social media and the device in our pocket now, right? Back in the day, when I first moved to Nashville, I mean, I didn't have Instagram. Nobody had Instagram or TikTok or none of that. Yeah. It was still very traditional, right? You still had to like know people at radio stations, know record labels. There was really no way to make it unless you had some sort of connection or knew somebody. That's still, in the picture, but I say, nowadays there's artists that are posting pictures or videos in their bathtub with their guitar, and overnight they're playing arenas and, and selling out Madison Square Garden. And, that's the power of social media. And so during COVID, I got actually some help from my good friend Ashley Cook, who gave me the courage to pick up my phone and start an account on this good old app called TikTok.
Yeah, it's hard, and you
It's
do
super
so
hard,
well
man,
on
yeah.
it, and like it's a grind. So
Yeah.
good on you for being able to kind of like tackle
you.
it. But you're a big digital guy. I mean, you're also in NFTs.
Yeah, I do a little bit of that. Yeah,
Which
NFTs and
is
crypto.
very, like your brain is fascinating.
Thank you,
Tell
man.
me a little bit about that, because a lot of people don't understand that, and it's kind of hard to grasp. But I think you clearly have done well mastering it. How did you get into that?
It started with a friend of mine from back home in Miami. His name is Lalo. That's his nickname back home. And he had already been, playing around with NFTs himself and collecting a few himself. And the cool thing about NFTs is they're not only like an asset that you can hold long term and for investment purposes, but they kind of create a sense of community where, like, by simply owning it and having it in your crypto wallet, you can easily bond with someone else over the piece of art that you have in your wallet, right? And so I thought that was fascinating, especially as somebody who collects trading cards and collects other things as well. I've always wanted to implement that side of things, just the element of scarcity and collectability within my music ecosystem, right? Like, I've always loved to collect Pokemon and
I was
trading
gonna ask
cards.
about that.
Yeah,
I was like, you
I
big
got-
Pokemon guy?
Yeah, big Pokemon guy. Yeah, I got binders and I complete master sets and all that
Oh
stuff.
wow,
That's a whole nother
yeah, that's a whole
conversation.
other thing,
Yeah. But I thought, how cool would it be for someone who's like a diehard fan? Let's use Ed Sheeran as an example. Imagine if he had a digital trading card that he was selling to his fans for $20, $30 when he was playing on the subway with his guitar case on the floor, and then boom, now he's one of the biggest artists on the face of the earth or ever, and fans can say, I bought this when it was only $20 when he was still playing in the subway. It's like your digital form of, like, it's a proof of
It's like a baseball card back when you
correct.
first, yeah.
It's a digital baseball card, if you will.
That's very
and
cool.
so yeah, I saw past all that stuff that he was telling me when he was in those communities, and I'm like, I'm gonna try to figure this out. I'm gonna find a developer, and I'm gonna find an artist that I can collaborate with. I'm gonna go to the studio, make some music, and then find a way to marry the art that this artist made for us with the music that I created in the studio that was specifically for the NFT. I married the two. And then in 2022, I launched my first collection. And to this day, it is still the highest earning project, music-related project, that I've ever done in my whole career.
That's crazy. That's so cool. You're a fisherman, yes? You go fishing?
My dad is more of a fisherman,
was
but
gonna
I
say,
do
'cause
love
you-
fishing.
Yeah, you fished
I love-
with your,
yeah,
I
I
saw
got-
the
yeah,
song
yeah.
with your dad.
That's
and then I
right,
also
yeah.
saw you with a massive swordfish.
Yes.
Yeah, tell me about kind of, why do you like fishing? What do you like to fish for?
Yeah.
Is that something you just do to bond with your dad, or just something that you got into as yourself?
Absolutely, man. I got to give it to my dad. He's more of the fisherman, man. He's a professional. He's got the boat down in South Florida.
Yeah, I spotted the boat. And I was like, okay, I get it.
There's no way to take him out of that thing, man. When he's not working, he just sprints back to his boat, wiping it down, making sure everything works properly. That's his baby. That's his toy. And so that's where the idea for the boat came from.
Yeah.
We were going through some tough times with his health, and we were having those tough conversations with my brother and sister and my dad about who's getting the boat. And I'm like, I ain't touching that because that carries so much emotional weight, and I can't imagine being out on the ocean on this like boat with all this weight, without my best friend.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, I can't do it. There's no way. And so that's where the idea for the song came. Yeah. And I do love to fish. He is way better at it than I am.
It's also very different fishing like here compared to
oh
being
yeah,
in
night
South
and day.
Florida.
Yeah, no way. I was born on the water, and
Yeah.
so I was deep sea fishing since I was maybe 5 years old.
That's
so
cool.
yeah.
That's like a dream for people. That's
yeah,
awesome. That's
man,
very
I'm
crazy.
lucky, man. Very thankful. Yeah.
And we're in a cool space today. We're at 615 House. Can you
That's
tell me about
right.
why you wanted to be here and your relationship with 615 House?
Yes, well, 615 House holds a very special place in my heart because around the same time that I got started with all that TikTok stuff during COVID, I was still figuring out how to adopt social media. How can I marry what I was doing with music at the time with just social media in general? all the kids were learning how to dance on TikTok and doing all the influencer stuff. And I'm like, how do I do this without having to like go all the way? I just want to stick to music and remain true to just like what I do. And they were there for me from the very beginning. I mean, my account probably had like 3,000 followers. Like I was just getting started, and they saw something in me. And it was a cool project that they launched during COVID. They put together 8 to 9 of the most talented local artists that were just trying to figure things out and posting stuff on social media. And we all met at this one really cool mansion, if you will, in the middle of Nashville, and created a ton of content. And it really helped me understand how to, you know, become one with my device and use it to like get the message out there and my music out there. And I met so many people along the way, artists that I would have never met if it weren't for the 615 house. And it just really helped me understand how to approach music in a whole new way with all this new tech that was being basically introduced to us during the pandemic. So, but and then along the way, we've remained super close and we've done tons of other stuff. And to this day, we still do things. So yeah,
that's awesome.
They're the best.
You're all over the place, man. I gotta say, I see you in pictures with Gareth, Louie the singer, Tiger Lily Gold. Like you are connected to a lot of folks.
Thanks,
what
man.
is there someone that you have worked a lot with that you kind of want to shout out, or someone that's given you a lot of good advice that you kind of carry with you?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you named him. Gareth is one of my best friends in the world.
He actually was on our show, and so was Louie the singer.
Oh, no way. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, both of them and their family, man. Gareth and Louie. You know, Louie and Gareth both have like their own background. You know, like Gareth being from Northern Ireland, Louie's freaking Texas, which is, I love going out there. But Louie's become a brother to me, and Gareth has become one of my best friends. Gareth actually granted me my first little European tour ever in my life. So if it wasn't for him and his team, that wouldn't have happened. And I got to spend a lot of time with him, and I'm super proud of him because he's done so much in such a short amount of time. One of my favorite vocalists on the face of the earth, honestly. And I'm not just saying that because he's my friend.
Isn't that so funny though, that it's like a guy from Northern Ireland, a guy from South Florida became best friends through country music? Isn't that so funny?
That's it. That's the power of music, man. That's all that matters. No matter where you're from or what you look like, man.
Yeah.
Music is that powerful.
That's awesome. And then just my last question. I know the album's just coming out, but you know, Nashville songwriters and singers can never really stand still for too long. Is there anything else that you're kind of working on or excited about that you're comfortable with talking and sharing right now?
Yeah, man, so many things. I mean, if I would be lying to you if I wasn't writing already for the next project. I mean,
I still can't wrap my mind around it, but that's awesome. That's exciting.
We have tons of songs in the chamber, and you know, posting a ton on social media every single day. Just, you know, letting the people know what we're working on. We're going to be doing more touring in 2026 than we've ever done ever in my whole career. I actually don't tour very often, but now that we have an album out, now that we have other things in the works, you know, I think it's time for us to hit the road and start meeting more people in person. So
that's awesome. Great note to end on. Thank you so much for the time.
Hey, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.